Can you all see the screen properly? Yes, no? All right. This is, just to brush upon what these concepts are. We'll not spend too much time talking about it because we do not have anything in depth to do with this. As far as your syllabus is concerned, you just need to know what they are, right? Just the functions. So I think in terms of that, what you see on the screen as you may call it definition or maybe say simply an explanation. It does a good job of explaining what exactly the function of an adverb and adjective is. Okay. Any confusions? Do you have any problems with this? Would you please read what's there on the screen for both adverb and adjective? So, what are they basically? If I'm to ask you about what are the basic functions or what is that one function that these two perform, what would that be? Are you able to hear me properly or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Just checking in. So, what do they do? Both adverbs and adjectives? They modifiers, right? So, both of them, they only have one function to do as far as adverbs are concerned. So, there's another category called adverbials. You might have come across them while you were looking at phrasal verbs, right? But that's a different thing. Here we are discussing only adverbs. So, both adverbs and adjectives, they would be considered as modifiers. Modifiers, anything that adds a new information or anything that gives an additional information about a different part of speech is called as a modifier. Both adjectives and adverbs act as modifiers. The difference is that an adjective can only modify anything that is nominal in nature, that is something that is noun like. Okay. Whereas the adverb will do that for a verb, an adjective, and another adverb, right? So it has three categories or three classes of words that it can modify, which includes an adverb, that is another adverb, a verb, and an adjective. Whereas for adjective, it's only the noun. So this is the primary difference between adverb and adjective in terms of what it modifies, right? Besides that, nothing. Adverb, because it has more modifying works, you can see what kind of modification it does. So for example, look at this. It can describe the action in terms of how, when, where, and to what extent. This to what extent is what you call is the adverb of degree, right? So an example like very good, right? What is the adjective in this and what is the adverb in this? Or just tell me what's the adverb in this phrase. Very good.
Good.
The adverb would be very, right? So, good is what? Good is the adjective, and very is an adverb which modifies the adjective good, right? But if I say good girl, then do we have adverb in this phrase? A good girl?
No, ma'am.
No, we do
Girl is
not.
a noun.
Correct. Girl is a noun, and you only have good, which is the adjective. No adverbs here, right? So keep
Ma'am,
this in mind. Yeah.
if we modify the sentence as very good girl means it has adverb, ma'am.
Correct. Yes, yes. If you modify it as very good girl, then it has both adjective and an adverb. Very is your
Okay.
adverb, and it is modifying your adjective good. Okay, that's right. Okay, so if you understand those basic things, then that should be good enough. We'll move ahead and start doing the exercises. Uh, Okay, let's do this one. The first one. This is all to choose the correct item, which means this has both adverbs and adjectives in the brackets. You will, based on your understanding of what adverbs and adjectives are, you're going to find out which one fits correctly, right? The first question, Meenal, correct or correctly explain the terms. Which one do you think is right? Correct or correctly?
Correctly.
Yes. And why would that be? Why not correct?
Correctly is an adjective.
Correctly is an adjective.
Explained is a verb, right?
Explained is a verb. Yes, correct.
So
Ah,
correctly may be adverb.
yeah, not maybe. Correctly is an adverb for sure, right? So it is
Okay.
modifying the verb explain. Hence, correctly is your adverb, right? You can look at it other in other ways, like ly is an adverb suffix, so probably that's why. But these are not foolproof things. I think you will also encounter maybe in the same exercise you will also see adverbs which do not come with this ly, right? So most of the adverbs, mostly the adverbs of manner, they have the ly endings, but that is not applicable to all kinds of adverbs. All adverbs will not have the ly endings. So then the way you approach these questions, these kind of questions would be to see what is being modified. If it's a noun that is getting modified, then for sure the modifier you have is an adjective. If it is a verb or an adverb or an adjective that is getting modified, then it has to be an adverb. In this case, explained is the one that is being modified. It's a verb, and hence you will have to choose correctly over correct, right? Okay, now the second part of it. Yes,
In this word correctly, in what way it is getting modified, ma'am? A verb is getting modified.
it tells you how, right? She explained the terms. How did she explain? Correctly. That's the work of the adverb, right? It tells you how. Did you not read this definition? This explanation here. Adverbs usually describe an action in terms of how, when, where, and to what extent it occurred.
Yes, ma'am. And correct is also the word which explains how
No. Correct is what?
the
Is it an adverb?
it's adjective.
It's adjective, right? So you cannot use it here. Adjectives, if you had to use it, then it should have been followed up by a noun. Here we do not have it. What is following here is a verb, and hence you will choose an adverb to modify it. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. Now, the second part of the question, the answer sounded correctly correct. Now, what would you choose here? The answer sounded correct or correctly? This has to be what? It has to be correct, right?
Correct. Correct.
Ah, correct.
But
See,
noun.
why? Sorry?
Correct is a noun.
Correct is not a noun. Correct is what? It's the adjective. And what is it modifying? The noun answer, right? Now,
Yeah.
this is what you call as the predicative use of adjective, right? So I can say correct answer, but I can also say the answer sounded correct or the answer is correct, whatever I use as a verb, right? So if this is how I write it, the answer is correct or the answer sounded correct, placing the adjective a little away from the noun that it is modifying, then I call it the predicative use of the adjective. But if I keep them close to each other, next to each other, right, like correct answer, then this is called an attributive use of adjective. Okay, did you come across these terms in the lecture? Predicative and attributive? I think it should be there. Um, so this is an adjective, right? The answer sounded correct because you're modifying the noun, the answer here. Hence, you choose correct over correctly, right? Anything other than a noun cannot be modified by an adjective. Keep this in mind. If what you're modifying is a noun, then definitely the choice has to be an adjective. Okay. Second one, Maya quick adjusted the fees. What would be the right answer here?
Quickly.
Quickly. Quickly for the same reason, right? Because it's modifying what?
Adjusted.
Correct, right? Which is a verb. So quickly. Quickly adjusted the fees. How did she adjust? She quickly adjusted the fees. She adapted quickly to any situation. She adapted quickly to any situation. You need to work on what is being modified.
A situation.
No, not situation. This is again action, right? This is again about the action of adapting, right? So again, you will choose quickly, not quick, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Ma'am, can you
Okay.
just explain what is happening? I'm not getting it clearly.
What is happening in the
Like,
sense?
why did you choose like uh, for adjusted? You
Huh.
what is the criteria? I didn't get.
Choosing what? Are you talking about this question?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh.
Quickly and
Quickly, because see, look at the question. She adapted quickly to any situation. What are we trying to modify here? We're talking about the verb. We're not talking about any situation,
okay,
right? The
ma'am.
modification is happening to the verb. You are confused because here the verb has preceded your adverb, right?
Yes,
If it
ma'am.
had come, if it had followed quickly, then it would have been easy. Now, this is something that you need to understand, that adverb is a little fluid in nature, in the sense it can either appear before the verb or after the verb. Usually the position is close to the main verb, it precedes it, but sometimes it can also be written like this, right? So it doesn't have a very fixed position or placement in the sentence like you will have with, say, pronouns or prepositions or anything. This is a little fluid in that way. It is a little, free to move around. The actual structure or the more commonly seen structure is like you see in this one, right? First the adverb and followed by the verb. But this is also not a wrong way to write it. In
This
either cases,
ma'am,
you need to check for what is being modified. Yeah, please go ahead.
the later one is called attributory. Attributive.
Late, this one? No, no,
Yes.
no. Attributive and predicative are for adjectives, not for
Okay.
adverbs.
Okay. Okay.
Adverbs are different. There's adverb of manner, place, time, degree. Those are different things. Predicative and attributive usages are only for
Ma'am,
adjectives.
can you just give a quick what differentiation between the adjective and adverb, ma'am? Because it seems that both give a quality of.
Yes, yes, both are modifiers. We began the class with that. Both are modifiers. One modifies the noun, which is the adjective. The other modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb, right?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, this is what we began with, right? So you can check in this document later if you want to look at those definitions. But this is what they basically function as, okay? Right. So for that reason, the second sentence she adapted quickly, okay? Because this answers the question how, right? Right. Third one, I measured the floor exactly. They were of perfectly or perfect, exact or exactly measurements. You have three brackets to choose from. What's the first one? I measured the
Exactly.
floor.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I measured the floor. How did you measure the floor?
Exactly, ma'am.
Exactly.
Exactly. Right. So this has to be, you need to ask these questions, okay? Uh, Only then will you be able to get the right answers for this. Just a moment. Please give me a moment.
So we have to find a verb to
Correct.
which
Okay.
adverb is linking.
You have to find.
A verb for which this adverb would be linking.
I did not understand your question.
Like first we have to find the verb for which this adverb we have to choose.
If that is how it has to be, right? More than finding the verb that it modifies, you have to find out what is being modified. That is the thing, right? So it's not like you try and find the verb that is modified. You need to look for what is being modified. Is the verb being modified? Is the adjective being modified? Or is it a noun that is being modified? Right? This is what you should
Yes.
ask when you get that
Yes.
question. Okay?
Yes.
Right. So this one has to be exactly. I measured the floor exactly. And then the following sentence, they were of perfectly perfect, exactly measurements. So the first bracket
They were
has to be
perfect. They were.
perfectly. So the answer for this would be they were of perfectly exact measurements. So you
Oh,
have both adverb and adjective in this combination, right? So measurements is what? It's a noun. So obviously whatever modifies it has to be an adjective, which is exact. Hmm? And exact is what? It's an adjective. Now we already explained and we talked about it that adverbs are the words which can modify adjectives also. So then, perfectly is the adverb which modifies the adjective exact, and exact is the adjective that modifies the noun measurements. Got this? Someone's hands up. Yes, you can. Kiran, go ahead.
Ma'am, when can we use articles before adjectives? Because
When can we use articles before adjectives? You can
yeah,
use articles whenever you are required to use them. That is when you have to indicate countability or specificity, right? There is no, it is not, usage of article is not dependent on adjective. That is dependent on your nouns. Okay.
yeah, but
Adjectives don't decide. Adjectives don't decide whether you use an article or not. It's the noun that decides whether you should use or what among the articles should be used.
if adjective is used in place of noun, then can we use article before adjective?
No, you don't
No.
have to because articles is something that is associated with nouns. It's not associated with adjectives. Adjectives are a different class. They both adjectives and articles they tell you more things about the noun. So whether you use an article or not, or whether you use a or an or the, all of that depends on the noun that you have, not the adjective. Okay.
But there was a question in activity questions where I have marked no article before an adjective.
I can
But
respond to
that
you
I
if I know
don't
what
know.
the question is.
Okay, let me check and write.
Sure, of course. Okay, so moving on. I hope you've understood this third question, right? Why we chose they were of perfectly exact measurements. Okay,
yes, ma'am.
okay, all right. Let me scroll down a little bit.
Ma'am,
Right, the next one. Yes,
ma'am, for the third question,
third question. Yeah, what happened?
ma'am, in that the first one, first will be exactly, and second one can be perfect or exact, ma'am.
First one in the sense the first sentence or the second sentence?
First
First
sentence, ma'am.
sentence. First sentence is exactly because you're talking
Second
about how. Second is exact.
or perfect, ma'am.
Perfectly exact measurements.
Both will be added together, ma'am.
Yes, 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 that is possible. You can combine these things together, no?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Are you able to see the screen properly? I see
Yes, ma'am.
you are able to see. Okay, just a moment. Okay. All right. So we'll move on to the next one. Fourth one. The stillness of the valley was awfully awful. Which one would you choose?
Awful, ma'am.
Huh?
Awful.
Awfully. Yeah, read
No,
it
no.
again. The stillness of the valley was
Awful.
awful. Now, this is again what? This is what is called the predicative use of adjective, right? You're not saying awful stillness of the valley. You are saying the stillness of the valley was awful. You're removing or not, you're not removing, you're basically putting the adjective a little further away from the noun that it modifies. This kind of use is called predicative usage, right? But if I said the awful stillness of the valley, then this is called an attributive usage of the adjective. Okay, but yes, you're right. Awful is the answer. That is the adjective that you need to choose. Now, the second part of it, the valley was awful still.
I think awfully.
This is awfully, right? It
Yeah.
was awfully still. Okay. Next one. It was a dangerous mountain to climb, and the man was dangerously drunk. First one, it was a
Dangerous mountain.
a dangerous mountain, right? Dangerous mountain to climb, and the man was
Dangerously drunk.
dangerously drunk. Okay. Sixth one, she danced magnificently. Everyone said that it was a magnificently performance.
She danced
Magnificently.
magnificently.
The second is
she
magnificent.
magnificent.
Correct. So
No,
she
first.
danced magnificently. First one is magnificently. Second one is magnificent,
Magnificent.
right? So you understand why we are choosing these things, right?
Yeah.
That is more important. In the first case, you are trying to describe the verb, so it had to be an adverb. Second one is about the performance, which is a noun, so you chose adjective. Yes, Prithvi, the question?
Ma'am, in the word performance, it is a noun or a verb? Ma'am?
Performance is a noun. Performance is always a noun. Perform is a
Common
verb.
noun. Na?
Yes.
Ma'am, so for example, if we say that he gave a wonderful performance, so in this case, performance is a verb, no, ma'am?
No, it's still a noun. Perform is your verb. Performance is the noun. To perform or perform is the verb. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So yeah, okay. Sixth one, and then seventh one. Please mute yourself, Kiran. Yes. Her voice sounds beautifully or beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, her voice sounds beautiful, right? What are we saying? We're describing the voice. So beautiful, which is the adjective, right? Then she sang the song exactly as it was written.
Exactly.
Exactly. Like now you're talking about how she sang the song. So the moment you have the question why, definitely this is modifying a verb. So exactly. We heard it perfectly perfect.
It's perfectly.
Perfectly. Again, because you're modifying the verb heard, right? How did you hear? Perfectly, right?
Yeah. We just need to ask the question in such a way that it will give you the correct answer, na?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a way.
Yeah.
This is
One way.
something that you can use as a diagnostics to check if you're getting your
Yeah.
answers rightly. But otherwise, it's basically you look at the question, the sentence, and you should be able to know what is being modified. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Moving on. Next question you have. Dave was a very sensible person. In this one, what would be your
Sensible.
answer? Sensible, right? So you're talking about Dave. So an adjective has to be used. Sensible person, right? Person is the one that is being modified, which is a noun, and hence you use the adjective sensible. He acted very sensibly,
Sensibly.
right? Again, this is modification of verb to sensibly.
Ma'am,
Yes.
in this case, he acted very sensible cannot be an option, ma'am.
He
Because
acted very sensible. No.
sensible is verb and very can be adverb, no, ma'am.
Very is adverb here. You can use two adverbs together, and in this case, your modification or whatever you're doing, the information that you're adding additionally is for the verb act, not for he. How did he act? Very sensibly. Okay. Very is degree. It's another adverb. It's a degree adverb. It tells you how sensibly, it tells you very sensibly. Okay. How did he act? He acted sensibly. How sensibly? Very sensibly. Okay.
Ma'am, so let me say another example. Let me say another example. He has wrote the exam very neat or neatly. Neatly
Neatly.
will be.
Neatly, neatly. Yes.
So it's a similar option like this one.
Yes, yes. Correct. That's
Okay.
right. Okay.
Ma'am, I have doubt in activity question
Can you
2.5.
please keep that aside? I think the question you're asking is from articles, right? This is not connected to what we are discussing. Also, I don't think there's a question, right? You put the question number. I am right now not in a position to go check the activity question now. Let's see. If we have some
Okay.
time left at the end, I'll get back to you. Okay. Otherwise, if you pose the question, it would be helpful.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. Ninth one, Mayank wrote too slowly on the exam.
Just think slowly.
Ha, right. Slowly, right? Wrote too slowly. This is again about how did he write. So, choice has to be slowly. He always writes. He always writes. This
Slowly
is
again.
similar to the question, yeah, that Prithvi was asking, right? Do I
Yeah.
choose neat or neatly? So, he always writes slowly, right? That has to be the
Yeah.
answer.
Yes.
Okay. Now, next one. Talk
Ma'am,
soft.
ma'am, is it
Saiteja?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, go ahead.
Is it on exam or in the exam, ma'am?
On both are right. There is
Oh,
some usages where people would say on the exam, and the general one, that is the one that is more commonly used in Indian English, is in the exam.
okay, ma'am.
But both goes.
It's not. It's on the day of exam, no, ma'am.
On the day of exam is right, but this is a different usage.
Okay,
You
okay.
don't have to add anything to it. So that's what I'm saying. Both are right. They're
Both
not
are right.
wrong. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, talk softly. This is 10th one. Talk softly, soft, or don't talk at all.
Softly.
Talk softly. So the moment you have the verb, you know that the adverb is what you need to choose, right? Then next one, the music played softly, soft.
Again softly.
Again softly, right? Same thing. Uh, Akash knows the lesson very good or well.
I think well, because it's
Well,
uses
right.
well,
Now here
very.
in this case, what are good and well? Which one is adjective? Which one is adverb here? Good, adjective, adverb. Adjective. Good
Adjective.
is an adjective. Well can be used both as an adjective and an adverb. In this case, it is used as an adverb because what is it doing? It is modifying the verb.
Notes.
Correct, right? But keep in mind, well can also be used as an adjective, right? There are several words in English like that which may be used both as adverbs and adjectives, right? So be watchful of them. Like one example is another example that you can have is the words early and late. Okay, these are also examples of words which may be used both as adjectives and adverbs. So you need to see how they've been used in the sentence to detect what is it modifying to understand whether they used as an adjective or an adverb. Okay, here well is used as an adverb. Now the next one, the same sentence. She always treats us good well.
Again well.
Again, well, because
I think.
how does she treat you? She treats well, right?
Ma'am,
One more question. Do you have any other adverb in this sentence besides well? She always treats us well. Any other word besides well? Always. Okay. Always is also an adverb. So words like always, seldom, rarely, slightly, completely, or did I say almost? Almost, mostly. These are all adverbs. There's a name for it. Basically, anything that tells you about the frequency of an event, how frequent something has happened, just like when something has happened, that is also treated as an adverb. Okay, so always is an adverb along with well.
Ma'am,
Huh.
in 11th, in the first sentence, if where is not, then if we not used where, very, then
Sorry.
in the 11th, Akash was the lesson. If
Huh.
they not used very, then what will be the?
Akash knows the lesson well. That's also
Okay,
right. So
okay.
very is just giving you the extent to which he knows,
Yes, yes. That's
right? So that is also adverb. Very is adverb.
okay.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
Just a small question, ma'am.
Huh.
This Akash is subject and lesson is object.
Akash knows. Yes, correct. Akash is subject, lesson is object. Correct.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
ma'am,
Yeah. Any
ma'am,
other question? Yes.
in what kind of sentence we will be using good and where we will be using well?
What kind of sentences can you use? Whatever gives you the meaning of good, you can use that. Like the one which we discussed earlier, right? She's a good girl, or this is a good book, right? You can use it there. And well, um, it's well done, right? Things like that. These kind of expressions you can use when well is used as an adjective,
Ma'am,
right? The work is
ma'am, good is adjective and well is an adverb in any case.
yes, right. In this case, in the sentence that you have here, yes.
Like every time is it the same or
Every time, no. That's what I was saying. Well can also be used as adjective. In this case, it is used as an adverb.
but good
Just
also
one
is the
second.
same, vice versa. Good can be used both
No, no.
ways.
Good is always an adjective.
Good
Good
is
is
all.
always an adjective. Yes.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Ah, okay. What happened? Am I not able to go back? Okay, all right, fine. So the next one would be you must send payments. That is 12th question. Okay, you must send payments regularly. We deal on a or strict cash basis. The first sentence. You must send
Regular,
payments
Regularly.
regular.
regularly.
Regular. We deal on a
Strict.
strictly or strict cash basis.
I think strictly.
Strictly, right? This is about how you deal, right? So strictly on a strictly cash basis, right? 13th one, the mechanics tools were well, good. The foreman said that his work was good, well done. First one, mechanics tools were
Good.
good, right? The mechanics tools were good. uh, Reason?
I think I think most of the time we use good for any person or
Huh.
any thing or something like.
Yes. You can say that the basic difference being
Most
well
of the
is more
sentences.
suitably used to modify verbs, and good is an adjective, so most of the time the modification is always for the noun. So person, thing, place, whatever it is, if you have a noun at hand, then good goes because it's an adjective, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this case again good, for the reasons just mentioned. And the second question, sorry, second sentence, the foreman said that his work was, do you
Well
say
done.
good done? No, you don't say, right? It's well done.
Well done.
It's also about the work that is being done. So, well done. Okay. 14th one. She
Ma'am,
worked.
ma'am, in
Yes,
the
yes.
sentence, we deal on a dash cash basis.
Ah,
Strictly is a adverb, ma'am,
correct.
and deal is verb.
We deal on. Deal on is the verb. Yes.
Deal on is a
Ah,
verb.
yes.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. 14th one. She worked carefully with the sick old man. She was a very carefully worker. The first sentence, she worked
Carefully.
carefully,
Carefully.
right? She worked carefully with the sick old man. And she was a very
Careful worker.
Careful
careful
work.
worker. She was a very careful worker, right? Because careful then
Is
is
adjective.
modifying, yes, the noun worker. So she was a very careful worker. Very is adverb, then careful and worker, right? Okay. 15th one, he did not lift the weight as easily as he thought he would.
Easily.
Ah, he did not lift the weight as easily as he thought he would, right? 16th, I find this documentary very interestingly.
Interesting.
Interesting. Okay, now what kind of use is this? I find this documentary very interesting. What is this being said about? It is about a documentary, right? I find this documentary very interesting.
Interesting. Yes, no,
Ah,
interesting.
so adverb, sorry, adjective, right?
Adjective.
Ah. Very is adverb and interesting is adjective here. So documentary very interesting. Now it was interesting or interestingly shot.
Interestingly short.
Yes. Now here the modification is on the verb, right? So interestingly shot.
A
Okay.
short is a verb.
Short is verb. Yes.
I mean, documentary is noun or common noun?
Documentary is noun. Yes. Correct.
Common noun.
Ah. Okay. Any questions on that before we move on to the prepositions part? Anything that you've not understood? Why is it blanking out?
Can you
Anything that
show the
you've not?
first slide, ma'am?
First slide.
Yes.
We didn't
Definition.
have any slide here. I
The
just
first
shall.
definition slide.
Okay, the definitions. Just a minute. This. And I'm just trying to see what Chennai is. Huh. Yeah, so Chennai is a large city. So, see, even in this case, the article that you're using here is not for adjective. You probably will see rules like that to enable the learners learn these things. But you should remember the article that you see here, it is not for the adjective large, it's for city, right? City is your noun here, and because nouns demand to have articles in some form or the other, you use the article a here, right? And why do you use it? Because city is countable, and here you're not being specific about it, right? Or rather, this is an attributive usage, sorry, predicative usage, that's why. Large, you can remove large and still you will have the article intact. Like I can say Chennai is a city, right? Which means that your article is basically dependent on the noun that is used, not on the adjective. You can remove that adjective and still you will need to use an article there to make it grammatical. Get this point, Kiran? You're asking this question, no?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, thanks.
You might have seen something in the lecture based on adjective, but that is just
Yeah,
to give you a little more explanation, or try to understand that in case you find an adjective here, maybe you use an article. But keep
yeah,
this in mind that adjectives usually have got nothing to do with articles, whether you use them or not. It is strictly dependent on the nouns. Okay?
yeah. But in the lectures, I said like articles always precedes nouns. So that's
Yes, he's right. Articles always precedes nouns. Not all kind of nouns. Some kind of nouns don't need articles also. Yes, I'm also saying the same thing. I didn't say anything different. I'm saying it is not dependent on the presence of an adjective. I also said articles come only on the basis of the nouns you use. Okay. Now I'm not contradicting anything that you said in the lecture.
uh,
Okay? Understood.
sometimes the adjectives also know, may come
Yes.
after
Ah,
the
adjectives can come. Yes, adjectives can come Adverbs can come. You can put anything in between. That is not a problem. Articles are decided based on the nouns that you use. Okay, so do you want to add another adverb in the sentence that you have? Let's check. Let's say Chennai is a very large city. Okay, hypothetically, right? Chennai is a very large city. Is it still right? This is a grammatical sentence, yes. Okay.
Yes.
But I can remove very, which is an adverb. I can remove large, which is an adjective. But still, the sentence has to be Chennai is a city. I can't say Chennai is city. So what is it dependent on? The article is dependent on the noun. You put adverb, you put adjective, whatever you want, you can, place within that to uh, give additional information in the sentence. Doesn't matter. What matters is what noun follows.
Ma'am, if it is largest, then
Chennai is, then what would you do? If you have a superlative form, then you have to use the. Because
the
you're
largest city.
saying, when you use superlative, you're basically saying that this is unique. This is the
Yes.
only
One
kind.
of the
So you
unique.
say the. So Chennai is the largest city,
Yeah.
right? Huh. Okay. Kiran, I hope you've understood. If you still have any questions, you may
Yeah, got
please.
it.
Huh. Okay. All right. So then let's move ahead and we'll look at this prepositions.
Ma'am, in a
Yes.
sentence, like if we are saying in a normal conversation,
Huh.
if we say he's the man, like he has done something,
Huh.
and we are indicating him as he is the man who got that done.
Sorry.
So the is an article.
Hmm.
Can we say it is an adjective because it is what indicating his expertise in the matter of an execution?
Yes, technically speaking, articles are also like adjectives, right? They also give you additional information about the noun in terms of whether they are countable, uncountable, whether they are specific, they're definite or indefinite. They give you all this additional information. So you may say it's a, not you may, you can say it's an adjective.
Special
But
case of adjective.
not special case, it is an adjective, but this is how we have been habituated to learn about these things. So if you have learned it as a different category articles, then you stick with it. At this point you don't have to change your understanding about it. But if you have rejected the use of articles as adjective, you're not wrong, it's actually right. It's a kind, it also works like an adjective.
Okay.
Articles, yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Correct. Uh, Ayush, have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, it is required to revise the symbol of sounds.
No, no, no. You don't have to. That's not
Okay.
required. No, no, no questions on symbols. You
Okay.
just need to know the sounds. That's all.
And ma'am, where I can get PDF of this lecture?
This would be already uploaded in your supplementary tab section. No, you can go to the dashboard, and under the scores, you'll have something called English one. You'll have a supplementary tab section. All these documents be uploaded there. You can access it there.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Kiran, any other question?
Ma'am, when is the phrase "open" used?
Sorry.
In what context can we use "open"?
In what context? Okay, can you save these questions for maybe live session, because I need to. This session is not meant for that. But I also did not get your question properly. Could you repeat yourself?
Phrase, ma'am. When is the phrase
What phrase?
"open"?
In
Open.
rope in. Yes.
Yeah.
Did
When
you?
it is used.
Uh, when is it used? Rope in is when you want to take somebody else also along. It could be in a call. It could be in a meeting. Right? Basically, add somebody to a call or add someone to a meeting. That's what it means.
Add someone to a conference.
Yes, yes, yes. Anything. Okay. All right. Okay. I need to go back to what we were doing. Okay. So prepositions, basic understanding. What do they do? So it shows relationship, right? So it shows your relationship with the relationship of the subject with the rest of the sentence, or maybe say the subject phrase to the. Who says, can you mute yourself, please? Someone's, yeah, okay, thank you. All right. Yeah, so the basic function is to show relationships of various nouns that are used in the sentence, right? Again, just like your articles, prepositions are also mostly, their work is to show relationships between the various nouns that's used in the sentence, right? So, plenty of prepositions in English, right? Too many of them. But one good thing about prepositions is that they are closed category words. That is, you cannot, unlike nouns and verbs, you cannot keep adding new words into the class called prepositions. You have a limited set. You have a limited set of words that are used as prepositions, and they remain the same. So if you understand their meanings, if you know their use, then you're good to go, right? So you don't have any surprises there. We don't add anything new to it. They're functional category words, they're closed category. So whatever you have in the word, in the language as they're used, they would be there without any new additions. So if you know the existing ones, if you know how to use them, then you're good with it, right? I've used at least 10 sentences here with some of the commonly used expressions, but this list you have, this questions that we have here is not exhaustive of all the prepositions, right? I have not included everything that's there in English, possibly not something that I can do, but this is like a glimpse of the more commonly used and the more than the ones that are used commonly. These are the ones that people get wrong, okay, more often than not. So let's look at this one. We'll start off with the first question. I'd rather study and pass dash repeat the course, and in the brackets you have the options instead, than, besides.
Instead.
I'd rather study and pass. Is it instead? Instead repeat the course. When do
Then
you use instant? It has to be than. The answer is
instead
than.
of, if it is of, instead of, right, something like that.
Yes, correct. So yeah, you can follow that pattern as well. That if it is instead, then you will have to follow it up with an off, right? But more than that, the meaning is very different. Instead is when you're replacing something else. Here we are not replacing anything. It's not like you're giving any option. You're giving the condition. So I'd rather study and pass than repeat the course. Okay. So than is the right preposition to be used there. Second one, talking on phone while driving is dash the law, beyond despite against.
Against the law.
Against the
Ma'am,
law, yeah.
before that, in the first question, uh,
Huh.
should we use than only if the action is continuous, ma'am?
No, no, nothing like that.
Because I'd rather study and pass than repeating the course. Will it be a correct sentence, ma'am?
Oh, and that's, yes, that's also fine. No,
Ma'am,
but your concern should not be whether it is repeating or repeat. You need to use the right preposition that gives you the meaning there. Okay, repeating and repeat, these are different styles of writing. In the US English, they have a habit of chopping off all this ing. You look at the British variety, they'll use a lot of ing, right? Although both are acceptable use of sentences, but than again is not dependent on whether it is repeat or repeating. Okay, than would come irrespective of that, the
yes,
sentence.
ma'am. Why we are not using instead and besides, ma'am?
Besides and instead have very different meaning. It doesn't fit here, right?
Can instead of be an option, ma'am? Study and pass instead of repeating the course.
But yes, that is correct. But we don't have off here, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Huh. Okay. Okay, second one, talking on phone while driving is, yeah, this we discussed. No, against the law. This should be familiar to all of you. Against the law. Beyond and despite clearly doesn't fit the context here. The meaning doesn't fit. Third one, you will receive your parcel dash within, during, inside 10 days.
Within.
Within 10 days, right? Within 10 days. So basically, what is within it? It's giving you a period of time in which you can expect your parcel, right? So the moment you have something like that, there's a periodic context given, then it has to be within, okay? How about during? During also talks to you about a period, but that period is more present. When you have to talk about some
Yeah.
action that is simultaneous, then you use during, right? Within is different. Within is giving you that exact block of time in which you can expect. Okay. Okay. Fourth one. In this case, you are clearly dash a disadvantage.
It
Ah,
it
at a disadvantage. Same is the case for advantage. Instead of disadvantage, if you have had the word advantage, again the same preposition. At a disadvantage, at an advantage. Except the article will change to an because you have a vowel sound in the beginning of advantage. Okay. So both cases at a disadvantage, at an advantage. Okay.
Ma'am, I had a doubt that
Huh.
if I'm meeting someone
Huh.
and I have to say that we'll meet for dinner, is like we both will have dinner together,
Yeah.
and we'll meet at dinner is it right?
We'll meet at dinner. Yes. Correct.
So what does it mean? It means same as for dinner.
See, a lot of these prepositions, they can be interchangeably used. Like we'll meet for dinner, we'll meet at dinner. These are all equally replaceable terms. It's
Do they
just that
mean the same?
they mean the same, but what you need to understand is because you can say we'll meet for dinner and meet at dinner, it doesn't mean for and at have same meanings and that you can replace for with at or at with for in all the sentences. In this particular instance, it's okay, but for and at are distinctive prepositions, they have their own meanings. Maybe in a different sentence, it will take up a meaning that
Okay.
is different from this one.
In this
So
sentence, it means that we'll have dinner together. Like
Ah,
we'll have dinner.
you basically saying that we'll see each other at the dinner. That's all.
Okay.
Largely, that's all.
Okay.
And it means, of course, the extended meaning is you will have dinner together, of course.
Okay.
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 Ah, okay. Fifth one. This book dash PJ Wodehouse is full of wit and humor. Off via by. Book by. Right. Book by PJ Wodehouse is full of. Someone wants to join now. Okay. Let's see. Uh, Cursor. What happened? Just a minute, guys. The screen has it blanked out?
Now it's
No,
correct.
Oh,
ma'am.
it's visible. Okay. Okay. All right. So this book by, okay. And then sixth one, my parents lived in the same city, dash ages.
Ma'am,
For
in
it.
the fifth,
Sorry?
ma'am, in the fifth question,
Ah,
ma'am, why we are not using of, ma'am?
because see, the extended phrase would be this book written by, right? So you don't say this book of. If it is the
Okay,
author, then always the expression is by
okay,
someone.
ma'am.
Hmm.
What if what will be the situation if this sentence is about a publication? This book is of some publication name.
No, again by. This book by the Oxford University Press or this book published by the Cambridge University Press, right? In that case,
Okay.
again by. Yes, same. Okay. My parents lived in the same city. What was your answer? Sorry, I did not hear you. Period of
For
time
ages.
for, yes, for ages, right? Period of time for ages.
If
Seventh
they
one,
specified some period, then it will be since
yes,
like that.
correct. If there's a specific time mentioned, then since. Okay. The singer is French. I was dash the impression that she is Dutch.
Under the impression.
Under the impression, right? Under the impression. Of is also something that people very commonly use, but not something that is considered as a neat expression. Okay, although you will find this kind of informal usage in many places. The right answer would be under. I was under the impression that she's Dutch. Okay. Eighth one. The train should have been here. Dash now.
Until now.
By now.
By now, right? By
Oh.
now. It should have been here by now, not until now. Okay.
It was until here. Sorry.
Uh,
It was here until now. Is it right?
it was here until now. Yes, correct. Yes, that is right. It was here until now. It just left the platform, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
But it should be here by now. So this is again you're specifying a time period, a time limit, right? So that's by now. Okay. Ninth one, we've put a lot of effort dash this work. This is an important expression. In, into, for. Effort.
put efforts in this work.
We've put a lot of effort into. We've put something into.
Oh,
Okay. So you put in efforts. I have put in a lot of effort is right. But we've put a lot of effort into this work. Okay.
and for
For no.
this.
For no chance. For this work, no. For that would be really wrong. Okay. Again, similar to this off impression, under impression, a lot of people use this expression in this work, but the right way to use it would be to say into this work. I've put a lot of effort into this work. Should be the right way to use it. Right? The right usage would be into this work. Okay.
Ma'am, can't we use
Sorry.
Instead of that, we have put the sentences like that. If he had put lot of efforts, then
He
same
has
thing.
put lot of efforts. Same thing. He has put a lot of efforts into this work. Yes. Same
Here
thing.
work is noun, ma'am.
Yes. Right.
No, work means a art piece or something.
Anything, any work, whatever work you are doing is work.
It's a
So,
common noun.
common.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, for this ninth sentence, can we? Is it possible to choose for, ma'am?
No. For would be wrong.
Ma'am, because for the sentence, we have sacrificed lot for this work. Can be
I've
this?
sacrificed a lot for this work. But then that you are completely changing the context, right? We are talking about the expression along with the words effort. I've put a lot of effort into this work. I've sacrificed a lot for this work is a completely different sentence.
So
In that case, it is fine. Here you cannot use for.
only in will be an option.
Into. We've put a lot of effort into this work. Okay.
Ma'am, but in represents the position of the noun or the verb, no, ma'am. But here position does not matter.
I don't know. In represents what position?
Yes, ma'am. On the table, in the table, like that.
In the table is not something that you say at all. It has to be always on the table. In
Yes, ma'am.
represents position, but it represents a specific kind of position. So if something is inside, then you say in, right? On is for when you're placing something over a surface. So there are two
Okay.
different things. Table, it only has a surface. You cannot possibly place anything inside the table. You can
Yes,
place
ma'am.
things inside the drawer, but not inside the table, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So the prepositions you use depends on what you're trying to talk about. Hmm?
Yes,
That
ma'am.
that needs to be done. So in this case, yes, it has to be into this work, not in this work. Okay. Okay. Now the last one here, my friend and I drove dash the coastline of Chennai through onto along.
Along.
Long.
Along, right? Along. Nothing else fits in here. Through has a very different meaning. It needs to go inside. That doesn't fit here. Onto, it's a surface preposition. It does not work. So what would work is only along, right? So my
What is
friend,
the difference between on and onto, ma'am?
uh,
On the
on,
table.
onto will involve the action of you keeping it as well, like onto, right? I've transferred the file onto the desk. Okay, you don't say I transferred the file on the desk. You can say I have kept the files on the desk, but transfer is like a more active expression. So if it
Okay.
involves some kind of action, more active expression, then you say onto. Transfer the file onto your desk, but I kept the files on your desk.
Is it like, ma'am, my friend and I drove
Ah,
onto the Chennai beach?
no, 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 no,
No,
no,
no.
no, because it's a very different preposition.
Okay.
This one you only use along because that's what defines the cause, right? Through would be if you can drive through it, like say a tunnel, right? There's a space inside and you can get inside that. But that is not the case with a coastline. There's no space that you can drive into, right? Huh. So all the prepositions that you use, no, they're all dependent on the nouns that follow and the expressions that it can undertake. For example, tunnel, you don't drive along tunnel. That's not possible because you need to get inside the tunnel to pass through it, right? But coastline doesn't satisfy that condition. You can drive through it. Yeah. So there's no space which you can take your vehicle or whatever, or maybe even yourself into, right? So most of the prepositions that you use, the question that you ask me, why not for, why in, why at, all of this is dependent on the nouns that you're using. Okay. So the reason why not this and why only this, the answer is derived strictly from what nouns we are using. Right, and that is where the prepositions derive their definitions from. They show relationships between nouns in a sentence, nouns and pronouns, of course. Okay, right. So see,
Yes.
there's something more in prepositions, which is the question that he was asking, no, in or on and at. Now these are the most commonly used prepositions, in, on, at. They can be used as prepositions of time and they can also be used as prepositions of place and position, right? When used as place and position prepositions, they acquire different meanings, the ones that I just told you. If it is something that can that occupies an enclosed space, then you say in, right? Like let's take the example, I am in the office, right? So it basically means I'm inside the building, I'm inside the room, which is my office, right? I can also say I'm at the office. This doesn't necessarily mean that I'm sitting inside my room, the office room. It can mean that I'm somewhere near the premises of my office. So that is at, right? The difference between in and at when used as a preposition of place would be this. If it's an enclosed space, right, then I say in. If it is um, a premise that I'm talking about, then at, right? Like another example, fields. Do you say I work in the fields, or do you say I work on the fields, or do you say I work at the fields? Say a farmer.
In,
Farmer works on.
Active.
in the
Say,
field.
let's take an example. A farmer. Farmer works in the fields, on the field, at the field.
On the field.
In the fields, ma'am.
Okay. Now see, sometimes there are also confusions like this, right? So on would be okay, in would be okay, right? But in spaces that I am defining, like say something like an office space, a more closed space, if that is what you're referring to, then in. Now on the field is okay because it's more like an open space. And in the field also works depending on the fact that, okay, somebody's within that field and is doing something inside that, right? So on and in would be okay in that case.
Ma'am,
But you can't say on the office. I am on the office is not an expression that you can use, right? Because the dimensions of your, the premise or the place that you're trying to describe doesn't let you use that. On is for surface.
We can say that we can on the way. This
Correct.
is
I'm on the way. Yes. No. Let's take examples where you can contrast it. No. So say
Oh,
I.
on the work. I'm on the work.
Uh,
no, no,
no.
no.
Let's choose spaces, right? No. And on the work is not right. I think I'm getting some. Uh, somebody has asked some question. Okay, nothing. So say another example would be a ship sails in the sea or on the sea.
On the sea.
Why would you say on the sea and not in the sea?
Because it's on the
It's a surface, right?
It's sailing.
Surface.
Surface.
Now, if I have another, yeah, Priti, I'll come to you just a moment. If I have another question, like the Black Queen was sailing dash the Indian waters. Will that be on or in?
In
In. Why?
Boundaries there.
boundary and the
Right?
crossing this
So look at this.
specific
Even, correct. So even
specific
for
area.
big area, boundaries, territory, yes, all of that. So even for the same entity, in both cases we were talking about something sailing in the sea only, but we use two different prepositions, right? Because in the second case we wanted to talk what we were referring to was the territory or the boundaries. Hence we changed the preposition from on to in, right? So this is precisely what I meant by what you use as a preposition in a sentence will depend on what nouns you're using. Yeah, Prithvi, you can ask your question now.
for the sentence, my cousin works at Google or works in Google. Both
Works
will be
at Google. You can say both, yeah. You can use both. The more informal way of writing that would be in Google. But yeah, say a more grammarian view would be to say at Google. He works at Google. Okay.
So
But he works
can
in
the
Google.
yes, ma'am, but can the sentence works at the office can be the
He
correct word,
works at
ma'am?
the office. He works at an office, yes. Right.
And also in the office also can be
In
a
the office is
correction.
also right, yes. Correct.
Okay, ma'am.
Grammatically, both are right. It just the difference is based on what meanings you want to convey.
Ma'am, and another example is an astronaut works on the space, in the space, and at the space. All the three can be correct, ma'am.
That has to be,
In
no, it has to be at the station. Not on the station is not something that works. Or he can work on something in the station, but he works at the station. Okay.
In the space, ma'am.
In the station, no, I don't think so.
In the
in the
space.
No.
space.
In, no, because it's space, right? So you
There is
cannot
no
define
boundary.
boundaries in space.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yeah, some of it is also like you will have to use a bit of our own senses also to understand these things. Everything we cannot write down, so you can think about whenever you have a situation at hand, you can think around it like that. Like the example that we just mentioned, if it is impossible to define boundaries, then there is no possibility of defining an enclosed space, right? So in goes out in such cases. Okay. All right. So I discussed in on it because they are the more widely and commonly and almost irreplaceably used prepositions. So for the same reason, they can also be confusing, right? So pay a little attention on the use of in on et. I think the original document that this one uses, it ideally should have one. I don't know why this one doesn't, but I'll add to this one so that you can practice a little bit on that as well. Okay. But for prepositions, you keep looking for more to be added to this category. Some of these are more commonly found expressions. You can work on this and then you can work on the others as well. Okay. All right. That's all from my side today. If you have any more questions, you can ask, or else we can call it a day.
Ma'am,
Prithvi?
ma'am,
Or
I
Kiran?
have a small doubt.
Ah,
This Learn the Rope session is different from the online session for the English classes.
yes, certainly. In the sense
What?
that we don't take up all the topics that's there for your video lectures. These are only chosen based on earlier feedbacks and what we think should be taken up for the classes.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. This is more like a practice session. Video lectures are video lectures. Those are the course contents. Right.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes.
some students who have like some are all already they have graduated in another degree. So this English is too basic. I feel. So can we have anything advanced so that we can?
You have another English course waiting in that will have more advanced topics. This has been designed to cater to people who are not that well versed in English as well, because we have people from all backgrounds, right?
Oh.
So the English too caters more to people who are looking for a bit more advanced topics. Of course, everything cannot be included in a thing like this. Is also UG course, so there are certain conditions that we need to fulfill while we design a course based on a lot of statutory rules that we have for syllabus.
Okay. Can
Designing.
we have any like a session where we can explore something advanced or we can learn something advanced?
That depends on you, Sai. Like, see, what is advanced for you would be different from what is advanced for me, right?
Okay.
So, depending on what you want to work on, you may drop us an email. We'll think about a possibility of including something of that sorts, like sessions that we do
Okay.
here. Okay, so
Okay.
maybe you can talk amongst yourself.
Okay.
If you think there's something that is been figured out in your conversations and you think that something would be helpful, you can write to us. But
Okay.
it cannot be anything like GMAT and GRE and all that. We have got requests for those things earlier, but we don't give coaching. It can be
Okay.
only skill training.
Like writing skills or
Yes.
speaking.
Yeah, those things we can think about if you
Okay.
can write to us. Yes.
Okay,
Although
sure.
some of them already exist, but I'm not sure if it's for this batch or the next batch. A lot of sessions already exist. But anyway, you can have a discussion and you can talk to this graduated students. I do not know what they're referring to. If it is something that is based on skill enhancement, we can take it up. But not things like GMAT, GRE.
Okay, ma'am. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, ma'am.
Okay, no problem. Kiran?
Ma'am, why are these virtual reading sessions not happening?
Virtual reading sessions?
Not happening. Yesterday, 7 p.m. there was a virtual reading session.
Yeah.
But
you would have gotten a Zoom link to attend that, no?
Yeah, but nobody admits me.
Nobody admits you. You should write to. I'll leave in an ID
It's
here.
happened 3 times.
Maybe it has happened 3 times. Okay. No, if you're not being allowed, then at study.ihtm.ac.in.
I thought they are not happening.
No. They're definitely happening. I have typed in an email ID here in your chat. Please write to this person. Okay, in case you're not being allowed or you're not able to join. She'll take care of it. Okay.
Well, when will be next virtual reading session?
Happens on Sundays. All Sundays, 7
Every
to
Sunday.
8 p.m. Yeah. Okay, you can write to her in case you're not able to join. Please make a note of this email ID. Aishwarya at study.iatm.ac.in. She'll see to it. Okay, all right then. I don't think you have any more questions. So we'll call it a day. And
Yes, ma'am.
rest of your questions,
I
you
have a
can.
doubt.
Yes, go ahead.
Ma'am, can't we use of before abstract
Oh,
nouns? Like in this case, we didn't use of.
no, no.
So,
See, you don't understand. See, there is nothing like a rule that I can tell you that you can use of before abstract nouns. It is dependent on the nouns individually, whether you use of or for or anything. Okay, it's not like you can use of before or abstract nouns. That is not a condition. That's not a rule. It is entirely dependent on what noun you're using, right? Some nouns will take off, some nouns will not take off. So based on the nouns you have, you can only that is how you decide whether to use the preposition A or B or C. This cannot be categorized. Okay.
so can you give an example when
Hmm.
can use of before abstract noun?
Can I give you examples of places where you can use of?
Of, yeah, before
Uh,
an abstract noun.
Before an abstract noun. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say something like he was full of kindness, right? Kindness is an abstract noun. Or he was full of happiness, right? He was brimming of joy. This is again an example of where you can use of before abstract noun. Kindness, happiness, joy, joyfulness, all of them will use of. Okay, and much more, many, many more. Okay, is that all right?
Okay.
Huh. Okay, thank you so much, guys. I think we have exceeded by at least 20 minutes. Should not have happened, but anyway. Okay, thank you so much. We'll
Thank you,
meet
ma'am.
only after the quiz. So, all the best for that as well. See you again next week.